Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hi everyone, welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. I hope you're ready to have a great time with us today. My name is Gabe.
Ready and awake. Gabe, you've been yawning an awful lot so far.
Yeah, thanks to our lesson.
What are you talking about?
Well, don't you remember the...
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hi everyone, welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. I hope you're ready to have a great time with us today. My name is Gabe.
Ready and awake. Gabe, you've been yawning an awful lot so far.
Yeah, thanks to our lesson.
What are you talking about?
Well, don't you remember the last words from yesterday's lesson? It's okay to be a night owl. And as I shared, I am a night owl naturally. So I'm just trying to be natural.
So you stayed up late last night working on something important.
I think so. I think it was important anyway. Washing the dishes, putting the kids to sleep, playing video games.
Oh, Gabe. Well, friends, I have a feeling that when our lesson says it's okay to be a night owl, it's not encouraging us to simply use the nighttime hours playing video games.
Maybe you're right, but you may find some information about night owls in today's lesson surprising, friends. We are on day 2 of the lesson. If you aren't a morning person, stop trying to be one. Today is a great day to learn something new.
So let's do that together.
Did you get your coffee?
I'm fine. I'm awake.
Okay, cool.
If you aren't a morning person, stop trying to be one. While studies show that morning people tend to be more persistent, self-directed, and tend to be better planners, night owls tend to perform better on tests that measure memory, processing speed, and cognitive ability. They tend to be more creative. And, oddly enough, they tend to be a little more financially successful. So if you want to set higher goals for yourself, should you try to become a morning person? Or if you want to be more open to new experiences, should you try to become a night owl?
Hi everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们今天要先看哪一个字呢？还记不记得昨天有讲到名词 persistence？ 那么今天要先来讲形容词 persistent。在文章里 persistent 的意思是一直坚持不懈的或是执意的。比如说 Although Ted and Solly are twins, Ted is persistent, but Solly gives up easily. Ted 跟 Solly 虽然是双胞胎兄弟Ted 是很坚持不懈的人，而 Solly 却是容易放弃的人。或是 Tiffany was very persistent and wanted everyone at the dinner party to play her game. Tiffany 非常执意要餐会里所有的人一起玩她的游戏。Persistent 也有一直持续下去的意思。譬如说 Noah couldn't sleep because his neighbors were having a party and the noise was persistent. Noah 的邻居在开派对，而噪音一直持续，害 Noah 无法睡觉。好，我们再来看下一个字 cognitive。cognitive 是一个形容词，意思是认知的或是跟认知有关的。来看例句 Priscilla is interested in studying cognitive psychology. Priscilla 对认知心理学有兴趣。或是 The children's cognitive skills will be tested by the counselor. 辅导员会测试小朋友的认知能力。还有一句 The doctor believes the patient is showing signs of cognitive disorder. 医生认为病患有认知障碍的迹象。Okay, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Jack. Well, friends, let's get right into our lesson here. While studies show that morning people tend to be more persistent, self-directed, and tend to be better planners, night owls tend to perform better on tests that measure memory, processing speed, and cognitive ability. There's a lot in that sentence, and you might have noticed that word persistent that Jack just talked about is very similar to that other word we learned yesterday, persistence. Of course, today we just saw the adjective form.
Well, that's right. Well, let's look at another phrase that was in the first sentence that we just read, and that is the phrase tend to be. What does this phrase mean?
Okay, tend to actually appears quite a bit in this lesson. Tend to be or tend to do something. If you tend to do something, that means you regularly or frequently do it, or you behave in a certain way on a regular basis.
I've found that laptops tend to be easier to type papers on than iPads.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Have you ever tried to type a paper on an iPad before?
Yeah, iPad or even phone, a smartphone.
Yeah,
laptops just tend to be easier for that sort of thing. And our lesson uses tend to be quite a few times here. We read this next sentence, they tend to be more creative. So people who are night owls are more creative.
Well, that's interesting. Now, you've said before that you think you might be a night owl.
Yeah.
Do you think you're a creative person?
Naturally, I'm a night owl. And yeah, I would say that I am a creative person.
Okay,
yeah.
Very interesting.
So I think it might go hand in hand. I know a lot of people, like artists, whether it's musical artists or, poets or something else, tend to get a lot of their stuff done late at night. In fact, a lot of writers, famous writers, that's what they'll say, is that maybe they had a day job, but they found they had to actually do a lot of their creative work for writing after 12 o'clock at night. So sometimes they would just get 4 hours of sleep.
Very interesting. Let's find out more, friends. And oddly enough, they tend to be a little more financially successful. Okay, interesting. So if you want to set higher goals for yourself, should you try to become a morning person?
Okay, well, before we continue, we want to take a look at this phrase that appeared in that sentence, oddly enough. Okay, what does this mean and how do you use this phrase? Okay, you use this before sharing a strange fact or a strange aspect of something.
Here's a way to use it, friends. Oddly enough, even though Bill had a bad experience at that restaurant, he still wanted to go back. If you think about this sentence, if you have a bad experience somewhere, do you usually want to go back? No, of course not. So it is odd or it's strange that Bill would want to try that restaurant out again.
Yeah, well, maybe he's kind of like me and he likes to give places the benefit of the doubt. That means that you try to find the good aspect of something negative, right? And maybe try to forgive the other person, or in this case, the restaurant.
To be optimistic, it sounds like.
Exactly, you're trying to be optimistic and kind of giving that place another chance. Well, that's a great example, and friends, this is actually a pretty useful phrase if you want to share kind of a strange fact about something that's related to your topic, oddly enough, and then share that fact.
Sometimes when you use the phrase oddly enough, it's because it's the exact opposite of something. So if you're sharing something about yourself, and then you want to say, oh, I'm like this, but oddly enough, I do this. That's another good way to use it.
Exactly. Well, friends, let's continue here because we just saw a question. If you want to set higher goals for yourself, should you try to become a morning person? Or if you want to be more open to new experiences, should you try to become a night owl? Because it seems like there are pros to being a morning person and also pros to becoming a night owl.
Well, I would say becoming more secure financially sounds like a great reason to become a night owl to me.
Well, that's what our lesson says here, that people are more financially successful. A lot more night owls are financially successful. I thought that was pretty interesting and surprising. Okay, well, our lesson also earlier used the phrase or the term self-directed. That means you're able to focus on the things that you need to focus on and kind of direct your own life. Anne-Marie, would you say that you are a self-directed and motivated person?
I would say I am definitely a motivated person. Now, self-directed is another thing, I think, because I like to get my directions from others or from authorities. But then in order to reach those goals, I can be very self-motivated to get there. I think it's because I was homeschooled, so I had to do a lot of my own homework and I had to teach myself a lot at home. So because of that, I was able to be very self-motivated.
Self-directed and self-motivated.
Yep.
Okay, well, it can be pretty helpful, friends, to get the things you need to get done. We have more to learn later, but right now let's learn about an interesting phrase in the info cloud.
Hello everyone, welcome to InfoCloud. Andrea, is it time for lunch? I'm as hungry as a horse.
Rex, it's not time for lunch, it's time for InfoCloud. But that is a great animal simile you just used, as hungry as a horse. Wait, why did you use that?
Because I'm hungry. I never really thought about the phrase. I guess horses eat a lot.
Yes, that's true. We use similes to add descriptions or to highlight details. They add colors and visuals to language.
That's true. Hey, I know another one. As busy as a bee. Andrea, I know you were as busy as a bee getting ready for InfoCloud today. Bees are always busy. You know, these similes really do add a lot to the description.
Yes, they do. You just want to be careful. Some animal comparisons can add an insult when describing people, like as crazy as a loon or as angry as a hornet.
Well, I don't want to be as crazy as a loon, but I do want to be as wise as an owl. You often see an owl connected to learning and education.
You are right. An owl is our symbol here at Studio Classroom. Our founder, Doris Brome, has a huge collection of owls, and she truly is as wise as an owl.
西方人经常用动物来形容一个人身体的状态，像是 hungry as a horse， 意思就是跟马儿一样饥饿，因为马儿的食量很大。如果你说 I'm as hungry as a horse， 那就代表你真的很饿。另外，如果你的生活很忙碌，你可以用 as busy as a bee， 像是蜜蜂一样忙碌来表达。还有，如果很生气，你可以用 as angry as a hornet， 像大黄蜂一样愤怒。如果要形容一个人很疯狂，可以用 as crazy as a loon， 像傻瓜一样疯狂。最后，如果一个人很聪明，你可以形容他是 as wise as an owl， 像猫头鹰一样有智慧。因为大家对猫头鹰的刻板印象是头大大的，脑袋很聪明。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Welcome back to Studio Classroom on the air. So, Gabe, what's one thing you've learned so far today?
Anne-Marie, that it doesn't matter if you're a morning person or a night person. There is nothing that coffee can't solve.
That's not from our lesson, but okay. Friends, let's continue.
If you aren't a morning person, stop trying to be one. Nope. You should be who you are, and stop trying to be something you're not. Correlation isn't causation. Successful people who are early risers aren't necessarily successful as a result of waking up early. They're successful because they've matched their body clocks to their schedules. Sir Richard gets up early because it works for him. Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohanian gets up late because it works for him. When you start working doesn't matter. What matters is what you get done in the hours between when you stop and start working. Success is all about what you accomplish, not the time of day you accomplish it.
"接下来我们来看名词 correlation。correlation 的意思是关联或是相关。 譬如说 The police have not established a correlation between the homicide and the bank robbery. 警方目前尚未确立命案是否与银行抢案有关系，或是 There is a correlation between public sanitation and diseases. 公共卫生跟疾病是有关联的。再来一句 The boss firmly believes there is a correlation between the workers' productivity and their happiness. 老板深信员工的生产力跟他们的快乐感有关联。最后我们要看的字是 causation。causation 的意思是因果或是因果关系。来看例句 The evidence gathered by the police show correlation but not causation between the two cases. 警方所收集的证据只能证明那两件案子有关联，但无法证明因果关系。Causation 也有原因的意思，譬如说 It's been proven that an unhealthy diet is the causation of many health issues. 不健康的饮食习惯已被证明是很多身体状况不良的起因。或是 The doctor gave a talk on a rare skin disease and he mentioned everything from its causation to cure. 那位医生的演讲是关于一种罕见的皮肤病，所有关于这种皮肤病的资讯，包括起因及治疗法，他都有提到。Okay, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Jack. Often those words are used together, okay? Correlation and causation and the relationship between them. But earlier we ended with two questions, right? Should you become a morning person or should you become a night owl? The answer here is nope. You should be who you are and stop trying to be something you're not. Be who you are. Maybe you've heard this kind of encouragement since you were a kid, right? In other words, be yourself.
Maybe you've heard people tell you before, don't try to dress like everyone else. Don't follow fashion trends. Just be yourself.
Yeah, just be yourself. You know, Oscar Wilde, the famous playwright, he has a quote that I kind of like. He says, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
I've heard that before. That's a good quote. Yeah. Because we're all different, right? We're all unique. We have our own personalities and our own likes and dislikes. If we just try to be like everybody else, then the world is just not so much of an interesting place.
Exactly. And what works for somebody else might not work for you. Of course, you might have a lot in common with somebody else, but don't try to be or copy everything that person does or what you perceive someone to be successful. Maybe you don't have to do everything that they're doing because that might not work for you.
That's right. Let's keep reading here, friends. Correlation isn't causation. There's those words from the language lab again. Successful people who are early risers aren't necessarily successful as a result of waking up early. They're successful because they've matched their body clocks to their schedules. That goes into what we were talking about earlier with don't try to change who you are. If you've already figured out that waking up early helps you get more done, then wake up early. But if you find that at night you are more creative and you can finish your projects, then be a night owl.
Exactly. Well, we do want to take a look at a sentence structure here, and that is to match one thing to something else, okay? This means to coordinate something so that two or more things happen together.
This sentence really makes me think of home decor.
Home decor or Home Depot?
No, home decor, like when you're trying to match things in your house.
Oh, right.
Things look better if you match them to each other.
Yeah.
Like if you match the curtains to the couch, then it's going to be very cohesive and look good together.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's a great example. Friends, do you ever try to match one thing to something else? It implies that there is a little bit of effort involved. Things like this don't just happen accidentally, okay? But we read on here, Sir Richard gets up early because it works for him. Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohanian gets up late because it works for him.
When you start working, doesn't matter. What matters is what you get done in the hours between when you stop and start working. So that means make good use of your time.
Exactly. Success is all about what you accomplish. All about is a great phrase to know how to use, okay? You use this to describe the subject or the purpose of something.
And friends, I think that this is a good time to mention to you that being good at English is all about being willing to try and being willing to practice. And right now we are going to ask our teachers some questions in today's Think About It.
That's right. What's something about yourself that you have learned to accept over the years? Let's see what they say.
What is something that I've learned to accept about myself over the years? Well, friends, I've learned to accept my hair. Yes, I've learned to accept the fact that I have curly hair that is often kind of wild and sometimes crazy. Now, I used to try to straighten my hair, or I tried to make it look more like hair that I see in a magazine. But honestly, it takes a lot of effort, and it's not healthy for my hair, and often it didn't even look good. So I've learned to accept my curly hair. Not just accept it, I love it now. And yes, my hair is wild and crazy sometimes, but that is okay.
Well, I've learned to accept that I really like helping people. That sounds like a good thing, and usually it is, but sometimes I like to help people too much, and I might end up keeping them from learning how to do something, or even worse, getting myself caught up in a situation that is more than I can handle. The way that I've learned to accept it is that I can still help people, but instead of trying to do it my way, I can pray a lot and then ask God to help me understand what's the best way I can be helpful. How about you?
Well, I've learned to accept that I'm a sentimental person when it comes to things. I hold on to things, and it's really difficult for me to throw things away or give them away. So that really helps to know when I buy things, because I think about if I need to throw it away because I won't be able to. And then that helps me to decide if I want to buy it or not. So accepting this about myself helps me a lot in that I don't accumulate so many things.
Okay, well, everybody's got something that they wished they could have changed, or one way they wished they were different growing up. But what is one aspect of you that you thought you should change at one point in your life, but now have come to accept and even embrace? Anne-Marie, thoughts?
That's a good question. I guess that's definitely happened to me in my life before. I didn't figure out until very later on in life that I was an introvert.
Oh, okay.
I thought that I needed to be very extroverted to people in order to be friendly.
And maybe in order to be accepted and like included in some
Yes,
crowds
absolutely.
or something.
But once I realized that actually after I interact with people, it doesn't mean I'm not friendly. It just means that I need time away to renew my energy. And once I figured out that about myself and accepted it, it actually made me a better friend and a better person to be around.
Do you think that's partly because of the implications with that word introvert? A lot of people think introvert and they think, oh, a shy person or
a selfish person sometimes.
Why selfish?
Oh, because you focus on yourself and the way you're feeling. You're not always looking around at others and maybe feeling what their emotions are.
Yeah, interesting. So it could come down to how you define or think about a word, and you just think, I don't want to be that. You know, it's kind of interesting. I'm an extrovert, which a lot of times is pretty acceptable, right? Some people think it's really annoying if I'm too loud or something like that. A lot of extroverts can be. But I'm a creative person, and so I've had to accept about myself over the years that, okay, I am an extrovert, I do enjoy my time with other people, and it really does take time for me to focus and be by myself to work on things that require creativity.
You have to make the choice to do that.
Exactly. I have to be more intentional about that. Okay, well, friends, what about you? Are there things that you've learned to embrace about yourself and ways that you've figured out how to work other things into your life that you need for yourself? Talk about that in English. We have a completely different lesson for you next time right here on
Studio Classroom.
I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.